So let's dig into a little bit about a recent deal that we worked together on. And even before we go there, I want to touch on just some of the foundational challenges you see with high net worth individuals, especially in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, who own real estate, who own businesses, who are considering selling, right? It's part of the baby boomers, one of the largest wealth transfers in the history of the planet. It's happening right now in the next 20 years. It's the $17 trillion, right? And it's tied to high-end primary homes, businesses, commercial real estate, and other assets. So with that, what's the biggest frustration you've seen, Jessica, when it comes to capital gains tax deferral options and or lack thereof for your clients?
Look, the biggest one here in the Bay Area is these people who bought their houses for $20 and they're now worth $2 million. I mean, I'm exaggerating to make my point, of course, but they're in these 4-bedroom, 3-bath homes that they bought for a song way back when. They don't want to be in these big houses anymore. They need they want controlled simplicity, right? I want my house to be smaller. I want my life to be smaller. I just want to know the income is going to come in so I could enjoy my life. I don't refer to retirement as retirement. I call it phase 3. First, you were a kid, that's phase 1. Then you were working, that's phase 2. And now you're in phase 3. What has heart and meaning for you? And typically people are not into their things anymore. They're not into their big houses, their cars, their things. It's not what lights them up. They want something else in their lives. And they go to look at selling the house, the primary residence where they've raised their kids. And they've got this $2 million gain on it. And what in the world, now they're going to have to fork over all this money in capital gains taxes. And they're going to have less to spend on other things in their lives that do have heart and meaning for them. And that makes them stay in the 4-bedroom, 3-bath house that their kids are telling them to get out of because it's too big and it's too much to manage and there's no reason to keep it.
Why do most people believe there's no option? And we're going to talk about the Deferred Sales Trust here in an option, but before we, as the solution for that. But why do you think most people just feel like there's just a ceiling there, and they feel like, hey, I don't have any choice. I got to hold on to this thing forever, die and give it to my kids with a stepped up basis because they believe that's the only way, or I got to go rent this thing out and try to do a 1031 exchange, but I don't really want to do that because I've never really been a landlord per se. And so walk us through what's the biggest challenge with folks when it comes to education with options.
I think one is people just don't like paying taxes, and I think they see a tax impact coming and they sort of shut down. They just don't ever, it's almost as if they are incapable of seeing other possibilities. They hear taxes, more taxes, and they just sort of shut down. I think that's so to get them just to open up a little bit and explore a possibility sometimes that's the biggest sometimes challenge. It's like they're so shut down around possibilities that they can't see it or aren't open to seeing it. So that's one thing. I think around primary residences, the law changed. What was it, 20 years ago? It used to be that if you sold your primary home and bought another one at equal or lesser value, you got to take all the gain it had to be equal or higher value. You got to take all that gain and put it into the next house, and there was no capital gains ramifications. And lots of people are still thinking that that's the law. And that hasn't been the law for a really long time. So when they find out, what do you mean I can't sell my house and take all the equity and put it into the next one? They just are like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, the law changed. That's not what's available anymore. The 121 exclusion that allows you to take $250,000 of that gain as a single person or $500,000 as a married couple, and exclude that is still available. But when you're talking about a $2 million sale and a $500,000 basis, you've got $1.5 million of gain that you can only shelter maybe $500,000 of. And now you've got $1 million of gain that's going to get taxed. And then, that's a 40% tax implication potentially. And $400,000 sounds like a lot of money to most people.
Absolutely. So let's dive into the deal that we recently closed together, because that'll give some folks some context and also hopefully open up their minds to what's possible. So would you just share a little bit about, without giving any particular details of your client, but just share a little bit about what they were facing, what they were selling, and what was the challenge for them before they found the Deferred Sales Trust?
Their challenge, again, San Francisco Bay Area, high levels of real estate appreciation. They had bought this, it was a multi-unit building. many years ago. They'd gotten it for a song. They now wanted to sell. They were looking to simplify their lives. It was a couple. One of them had some health challenges. The other one is kind of done working. I think there's a lot of ageism that goes on in the employer environment right now, right? Just getting hired sometimes is really challenging. And they have this phenomenal opportunity, right? We have all this equity in this house. We could restructure our lives if we could just get access to it. We could live the life that we really wanted to live. Again, phase 3, what has heart and meaning? And so when they were looking to sell this and realizing that their options on using that 121 exemption, right, getting that $500,000 sheltered, and there's a couple units, so maybe they could move into one and then get the same exemption 3 years later. But that put now you're risking the real estate market not being as strong, and you're risking, not moving into phase 3. And, what if my health gets worse? There was a real desire to move into phase 3 and to start to enjoy a life that they loved. And so how did we make that happen? If you're going to sell this property where most of their net worth resided and then pay a huge chunk in taxes, that was that much less money that was available to them to generate income to help meet the expenses of their cash cow farm. So using the Deferred Sales Trust allowed them to hold on to those assets. I mean, obviously they're, the legal structures around them, they're not in their names, but now that chunk of money is a cow in their farm, a really nice cow that does some really amazing things tax-wise and allows them to get the income that they need in order to meet their expenses. It's going to extend the length of time that they're going to have income by a pretty wide margin.
Amazing, right? And it truly is transformational exit planning, because it's not just about the money, right? It's about allowing somebody to move from one phase of life, phase 2, into phase 3, without having to hop through all of these hoops. I like to use the analogy, the Blockbuster way of doing things versus Netflix. And Blockbuster was the old 1031 exchange. It's really the old way. You remember you used to have to drive to Blockbuster, show up, walk inside to see if the movie is available. If it's available, you go to get it. But right before you get it, somebody grabs it. But even if you got it, you have to take it home and you probably have to rewind it, and then you have to return it. But if you don't return it within 3 days, then you're looking at a penalty, right? And if you don't rewind it, on and on and on. It's very, very cumbersome. Whereas Netflix, you could just click. It's never sold out, right? You can pause it, you can rewind it instantaneously, right? There's some ongoing fees, right? It's an ongoing monthly thing, but it's seamless, right? From the comfort of your own home. I try to use that analogy with the Deferred Sales Trust, because folks are moving from one thing that can be very complicated to, and I like your cow analogy, right? To a seamless cash flowing producing income stream, and then obviously saving all that money at the same time, or deferring all that money. So walk us through, besides that, what else did your clients like about the Deferred Sales Trust?
Look, largely, I think it's always about the people, right? Surrounding yourself with good people and making sure that they felt secure about what was happening. I think people have a tendency to overcomplicate this concept. It's so not complicated. And maybe that's just the lawyer aspect in me, just understanding an installment sale and what does it look like to put a trust in the middle of that. It's really not that complicated. And as soon as I think I got them to the point where they understood its simplicity, they were like, oh, it almost became a no-brainer that way. I think that was an important piece for them.
Absolutely, right? Yeah. Knowing that it is simply a law that goes back to the 1920s. It's just an installment sale, and you're just adding a trust. And by the way, that's what we do at Capital Gains Tax Solutions. We provide the third-party trustee services, and then we work with financial advisors like Jessica who manage the trust funds, and together as a team, along with the tax attorney who provides the legal services for this, we're able to accomplish this amazing transformational exit planning. So I think that's really well said. Was there anything as a part of that helped? What was the moment where it clicked for them when it was, oh, that is pretty simple? Do you remember that conversation or how it went?
I want to say that I think when they realized that it was pretty easy to implement, that the conversation then became about, well, we could do this or that. And when you see that you have the ability to exit from this property and be done, right? I don't have to wait 3 more years. I don't have to worry about tenants. I don't have to worry about getting somebody in there. I don't have to worry about somebody hurting themselves on the property. I don't have to worry about fixing, the stove or the toilet that breaks in the middle. Like, I get to be done.